Well, a great crisp morning in Powell, Wyoming. We are at Parkside School to spend a little time in the kindergarten classroom with Ms. Ramsey and her students. Let's head on in.
Hi, I'm Christy Von Krosick, and Alan Trent and I are here in Powell, Wyoming at Parkside Elementary with Kaylin Ramsey, kindergarten teacher, and we're looking at exemplary language arts teaching in the Cowboy State. So we're excited to be here.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Kaylin Ramsey and I teach kindergarten here at Parkside Elementary. This is my 5th year teaching and the tiny humans are just exciting. Yeah.
All right, so Kaylin, we're going to see a couple of different lessons over the next couple of days, and so I have some questions just to kind of help us understand your instruction, and what we're going to be seeing.
Okay.
So we're going to jump right in.
All right.
Describe your language arts teaching approach.
So what we go from is through the whole balanced literacy approach, and by using things such as guided reading, interactive writing, shared read-alouds, and guided writing with small groups, we can kind of hit all of the kindergarten standards that are achieved from the Common Core state standards at each student's individual level and their learning needs. So through a mix of both whole group instruction and small group instruction, we can kind of give the kids the interventions and the enrichments that they need in order to meet the standards that we have set for them.
Okay, so based on that, you obviously have to arrange your classroom a little bit differently to meet the needs of the kids. So tell us what that might look like.
So in my classroom, I have a lot of different places where we can do whole group instruction. They have pods of tables together where I can stand at the front and teach to the whole class. We have a whole group carpet up here where we can all sit and learn together through circle time, through seated time. And then we also have a lot of spaces where kids can learn in small groups. So here you can see Christy and I are sitting at the table where I teach guided reading. This is also where I do a lot of my small group writing lessons. And by having this little kidney bean table, it really helps to have the kids close to you and meet with a small group of kids at one time. We also have a couple of sections where kids can work independently, either at their desk or in this iPad little center over here. There's a classroom library, and there's lots of different seating opportunities for them. There's tiny rocking chairs, there's little milk crate boxes, and I also have a lot of bath mats where if they need to pull it out onto the floor to give themselves some space, that's what they do. So
there's a lot of flexible seating based on the needs.
Yes. So obviously there's their desk that they sit at every morning, but during our learning time they can move anywhere.
Great. Okay, so as we think about your lesson and with instruction, how do you assess your students in reading and writing?
So with reading, our school delivers the benchmark reading test 3 times a year, in the fall, the winter, and the spring. And what that is they give kids a one-on-one dry read with a book at their level. So you decide their independent reading level based on the Fontes and Pinnell literacy continuum, levels A to Z. In kindergarten, we're focused on levels A to D, and by the end of the year, kindergartners are expected to be reading at a level D. So based off of these 3 times of year formal assessments that the kids get, you monitor in between each of those through running records and through what you see in observations and guided reading to push them through those levels of A to D reading text. And then our district also gives us collaborative time through all of the schools where all kindergarten teachers can meet to design tests together that hit on the core kindergarten standards, things like rhyming, syllables, phonemic awareness, all of that. So throughout the school year, we also give tests with that we have come up with together on how those are going to be delivered and assessed. As for writing, we are a PLC school, which means once a week we meet in a PLC team. There's 7 of us on the kindergarten team. We have 7 outcomes that we work throughout the entire school year. Each outcome is decided on by the team, and it progresses the kindergartners from the early stages of pre-writing all the way to what's expected of them in writing at the end of the year. Each outcome has a pre-test and a post-test, and in between each of those, there's interventions and enrichments that get them to meet each learning outcome.
So that kind of hits on my next question, because you're using this data to help guide your instruction.
Yeah.
And to inform and differentiate instruction. So what does that look like when you talk about enrichment? What does that look like for your classroom?
So just to take one example, like a real life example, our very first outcome, our writing outcome for kindergarten is letter names and letter sounds. So you give that pre-test of how many letters do you know, how many letter names do you know. You have an entire class of kindergartners. You have 4 kids that know 2 or 3 letters. You have a big group of kids that know maybe a handful, like 5 to 10 letters. And then you also have this handful over here of kids that know all of their letters and all of their letter sounds. In our beliefs here at Parkside, we really push those kids to go further. They don't need to be doing letter names and letter sounds anymore. So enrichment would be these group of kids up here. They're going to start going to sound out words. They're going to start writing CBC words. They're going to start building words and sentences. This group is still going to really focus on all of the letters, all of the letter names. This group down here is going to get just 1 or 2 letters a week because that's where they're at and what they need. And then hopefully by the end of that outcome, all students are proficient in that letter naming and letter sounds outcome. And that goes for more than just letter naming and letter sounds. That goes for every outcome. So if we're working on writing 1 sentence, we have a group of kids that are writing 3 sentences. We have a group of kids that are writing 1 sentence. And then we also have a group of kids who are still working on just sounding out words. So it's really just meeting the students where they're at, enriching the high kids and giving them more, meeting the at grade level kids to what they need, and then giving those group of kiddos the interventions that they need to get to be up to grade level expectations.
Okay, so this wasn't one of the questions, but I'm going to play off of what you said, because
Okay.
you have a range. You have enrichment all the way down to your interventions. And so thinking about that, you have a classroom of 17 kindergartners. You have
Right.
2 sections. What does that look like? Who are your additional support pieces that come into the classroom? You meet a lot as a team. You have your PLC groups. What does that look like then for the support you have in the classroom so that you can meet all the needs?
So what that looks like is we combine both kindergartens together. So for writing, all kindergarten students are assessed as one. The other kindergarten teacher and myself take the 2 lowest group of kindergartners. So that way the classroom teachers are meeting the lowest group of kindergarten needs. The other people that work with us, we have my kindergarten para from this room, the kindergarten para from the second room, the instructional facilitator, and a reading specialist. So that gives us 6 people that we can split kindergartners between. So maybe one of the paras is taking the high intervention group and doing that exciting, more like learning outcome needs. Whereas my partner teacher and I are really intervening on the lower group of kids. So we always take the lower group, the paras, the reading specialist, and the instructional facilitator, just depending on each outcome and what each teacher's feeling like teaching that time. They kind of take those groups. We have a lot of meeting spaces. We have both classrooms, which is usually where the higher group of interventionists go. And then we take those kids into smaller spaces like tables like this that are in the hallway and into just the intervention room where we can meet in smaller spaces.
Great.
Okay.
Because I've been in your classroom a lot, and I just know how you are as an individual, being able to have things organized definitely help with classroom management and being prepared. You're naturally like that. But when you think about from when you were in college and when you were a student teacher and you think about all of the things that go in to an effective lesson, how does classroom management really play into that? And what's your approach to that helps you with your instruction?
Right, well, with that organizational piece, the more prepared that you are for each day, I have everything lined out by hour because there is no downtime in between each thing. The downtime is when the kids don't really know what's going on, and that's when they kind of start acting out. But as for classroom management, 3 words: loving but firm. Your students have to know. They have to know. They're not second guessing ever that you love them, each and every one of them. Even your hardest student, who you redirect thousands and thousands times a day, he leaves my classroom every day, or she leaves my classroom every day, knowing that I love them. And by building that mutual respect and that relationship from day one in the classroom, that mutual respect kind of sets itself up for a successful school year. And then with my classroom management, at the beginning of the year, we'd go over expectations really, really in depth. So what does it look like to do something as simple as sit in your desk? Your feet are on the floor, you're facing forward, your back is straight, we're not bending backwards in our chairs. And that's modeled by the teacher, and then the kindergartners go practice. And then it kind of moves into their hands. Who wants to be the leader? You show me how it's done. Now everybody go try, just like this student did. And then this isn't just a beginning of the school year thing. We do this all year. So we are consistently going over expectations, we are consistently practicing, we are consistently going over what it looks like to sit on the carpet, what it looks like to work at our desks. And through revisiting those expectations all school year, it really helps the kids to be reminded what's expected of them and holding those expectations accountable all the time. So in my classroom, I use a clip chart. And Alan, it is right over there. Each day, all the kids start in the middle of the clip chart, and as they are seen doing good things throughout the school day, their clips can move up, and then if they need redirected ever, their clips do move down. And as an incentive for them to get to the top level of our behavior chart, if they are on the top level purple that says awesome day, every day in the month, they get to eat lunch with me in the classroom. And that is just the coolest thing when you're 5 years old. And so I know that that's hard for some students to achieve. So we also have whole class goals too. If we are all on purple just for one day, we earn a magnet that's up in the corner of the whiteboard there, and we work towards a whole class party so that each child can be celebrated for little successes as well as big successes when they get their personal goals and their whole class goals. So really celebrating the kids doing good things and focusing on the good and making sure that the good is being reinforced daily. Good?
All right, so we're getting ready for a lesson this morning,
Okay.
which I am excited to see because interactive writing, I think, is something that people often avoid because it can be challenging.
Right.
Because you have all of these little people on the carpet or in their desks, and only one at a time is up at the board.
Right.
So kind of give us a backstory about what we're going to see today as far as your objectives for the lesson, and then also I'll wrap in together, like how are we going to assess, how will you assess what
Okay.
the students are learning? So I have those two things together.
So right now, currently, we are doing an informational animal unit. We have linked this to our oral sentences outcome. So in kindergarten, one of their expectations is that they are expected to speak in 3 complete sentences. We structure this through a main topic and 2 details. An example of this would be if we were studying dogs. Their main topic would be, I know a lot about dogs. Their first detail would be, dogs have fur. Their second detail might be, dogs have tails, or something that they've learned from what we've studied, usually a nonfiction book, a nonfiction video, some sort of animal study. So yesterday, just to set you a little bit of a backstory, we studied a nonfiction book and a nonfiction video all about fish. So today they're going to be orally walking the mat to tell what they learned about fish. We did that yesterday, and then we picked the 2 biggest details that almost everybody mentioned in their oral story, and those 2 details are what we're going to write together today, in hopes that tomorrow, independently, after we've done it together once, they can do that independently on their own with writing. So our objectives for this lesson is just that they can orally speak 3 sentences with a main topic and 2 details. They can write sight words correctly, and I put all of these in I can statements for them so they know exactly. I can write my sight words correctly. I can write a sentence with an uppercase at the beginning, finger spaces in between, and an end mark at the end, and I can participate in a whole group writing lesson with purpose and understanding. And that is the hardest piece for 5-year-olds, because they are very egocentrical, and when the pen isn't in their hand, it's really, really difficult to keep everyone in the carpet engaged. So you'll be seeing little strategies today, like writing the word in the air, writing it on their hand, writing it on their leg, writing it on the carpet, so that everybody is writing, but there'll be one student who's actually putting that word up on the paper. And by sharing the pen today, I'll be doing some of the writing, they'll be doing some of the writing. They will get a whole 3-sentence paper complete that looks correct, in hopes that they can transfer some of that learning into their independent writing. Okay.
And I think that's what people are going to see, is that goes into the management piece.
Right.
Is what are all those little bodies doing on the carpet while the other one is up at the board? And so it'll be fun to watch that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the kids are going to be in here in a little bit, and
Yeah.
we're going to get started.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Okay. Remember, the book that we studied up on the board was nonfiction. That means real life pictures about fish, right? So what we're going to do before we start writing today is you are going to share with the person by you. Reagan and Ryder face each other. Nova Xander, Connor Miles, and Brandon Isaiah. And before you start your talking, I want you to each tell 2 facts that you remember from yesterday. Remember, when we study nonfiction, this isn't a story about a time that you have been fishing or a pet fish that you have. This is a real life fact about fish. Something maybe like fish live in water, or fish live eggs, or fish lay eggs, or fish have something special on their body. Go ahead and start whispering with your partner about things you remember about yesterday. 1. I want you to raise your hand if you remember one of the things that we decided was really important. Remember, I had you lock it in your brain yesterday? I said, don't forget about this one. Connor, do you remember one of those things?
The gills.
The gills! Point on your body where those fish gills were. And why did they have gills, Connor?
That what Bryn said.
Bryn remembered that too. They breathe air under the water with those gills. Great job. Nova, do you remember the second very important thing that we decided? Their fins. And they help them swim. And Ryder, I heard you say the big fin on their back helps them balance. That was a cool fact that you remembered. Okay, yesterday we all took a turn to walk on this walking mat. You told me your main topic. Every single one of you stepped on here and said, I know about fish. And then you told me 2 facts that you learned yesterday. The 2 facts that we are going to use today are fish have gills and fish have fins. Give me a thumbs up if that sounds good to you. I think that sounds good to you. Now, kindergartners, yesterday when we started up here, we all said, I know about fish, because that was your main topic. Now, when we write together today, since we're all going to be sharing the pen, the word we're going to use is we know about fish. Capiche? Okay, I'm going to go over my 5 things. I'm going to move my paper here. Here are the 5 things that I need to see about your body right now. Number 1, is everybody's legs crossed?
Yes.
Number 2, are everybody's hands still in their lap? Number 3, are your ears listening? Are your eyes watching?
Yes.
And last one. Are your mouths closed? If something pops into your brain, should you yell it out? Nope. If you have something to share, what are you going to do with your hand? Raise it. Okay, show me those good sitting bodies. Now what I brought my special frozen powder. Now remember, you don't feel it rain on your head. You just have to pretend. And when I bring my frozen powder over to you, your body does not move for the rest of the lesson. Deal? Okay, show me those good sitting bodies one more time. Nice and straight. Some for you. Some for you. Okay, everybody's frozen powder. Good job. Good job. Good job. Extra for you, because I had a lot left in my hand. Okay. Are we ready to begin? Okay, we are going to start with our main topic today. Our sentence is going to say, we know about fish. Count those words with me. We know about fish. Connor Ferguson, tell me what every good sentence starts with.
A capital.
A capital letter. Connor Ferguson, will you come up and start my sentence for me today? Connor is going to write his word we. Remember when we use these big blue lines, we start at the top one and we go all the way down to this second one, okay? Everybody else, will you bring out your writing hand? And I want you to write that word we. And if you finish writing it, maybe you could write it one more time. Perfect. Connor, I love that you made your capital bigger than your next word. What word did Connor just write? We. Now I'm going to write our next word because this is one of the new words that we have been working with. We learned 2 days ago that there's two types of no's. There's a word no, like your answer no, and that one is short and just N-O, right? Right. So we're going to use this type of no today. I just put this on our word wall, and this would be our word know, like we know something. When I point to this word, can you read it with me and point to your brain because you know something? Ready? No. Okay, let's reread what we have so far. Are you ready?
We on the word wall.
We know. What was our third word going to be, Xander?
Fish.
We know fish.
We know about.
About fish. Xander, I'm going to start the word about, and I'm going to have you come up and finish it for me, okay? So if you want to stand right there, you can. About is another one of those words that we just put on the word wall. All right, I did not finish the word about because I want to see if Xander can hear the very last sound in that word about. Will you put your slinkies up? Now remember, when we use our slinkies, our first sound is here. Our last sound is all the way out here. So we're listening for this sound. Okay, are you ready? Start in the middle. We're going to say about. Ready? About. What did we hear out here? T. Xander, will you do that for us? Very good, Xander. Now, Xander, I'm going to have you stay up here to finish our next word. Ready to come up and help? Okay. Miles, the word that you are going to help us write today is that fish have gills. Miles, what sound do you hear at the beginning of gills?
G.
G. Can you start by writing just that G for me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be your finger space. There you go. The rest of you, can you write a lowercase g in the air? Magic C. Up like a helicopter, all the way down and turn. Or you wrote an uppercase G, all right? Gills. I think that we should help Miles sound this word out. Sound it out, hand up. And let's sound out the word gills together. Ready? G. Gills. Good. And Miles, I'm going to have you add 2 L's in a row. I know that doesn't, you heard just one, but we're going to add 2 L's in a row. And then Miles, this word says gill. What would you add to make that word say gills?
C-S.
Very good. Okay, Miles, I'm going to have you step to the side because we might be ready for our period. Connor Ferguson, can you pull your shirt up for me, buddy? Thank you. Isaiah, I think that your powder fell off of your head. Can you fix your body for me? Thank you. All right, let's see if we can read together to see if we're ready for a period. Are you ready? I point, you read. Do it with me. Fish have gills. Are we done?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Miles, I think we are ready for our period.
That
Okay,
makes a perfect
perfect.
period.
Miles does make a perfect period. Okay, so far, we have our main topic, Miss Bryn. We know about fish. Our first fact was fish have gills. Bryn, do you remember what our second fact was? Fish have fins. Do you want to come up and start that sentence for me? Okay, she's ready for us to sound out the word fish with her again. Now, Bryn, looking at our spacing, do we have enough room here?
No.
I think we should return sweep. Okay, now, Bryn, I just ended with a period, which means your new sentence needs to start with what? A capital. Sound it out, hands are up. Let's sound out the word fish for her. Are you ready, writer? Shh. Now that's a hard word. That's not one of our sight words. Can you try to write that word on the carpet? Write it right in front of you. And Bryn, I'm going to have you change this to a capital F because that was the start of fish have. What was our last word we need to write today? Fins. Uh-oh. I think that's a word that goes all the way to our pinky. Do you think you can stretch that out? Okay, ready? Sound it out, hands up. Ready? Fins. Raise your hand if you haven't had a turn to come up and write with me today. Isaiah, are you ready to come finish our word for us? Come on up, buddy. All right, Isaiah, I think you will have room right here for the word fins. Friends, I want you to put your sounded out hand back up. We're going to stop after each sound for him. Ready? Oh, the going all the way to our pinky is so hard. You guys rocked that. Good job. All right, Isaiah, step to the side. Let's see if we are finished. Are you ready to read with me? Do you need my help or can you read this last sentence all by yourself? All by yourself? Are you sure? Okay, let's see if you can read that fish have fins to see if we're ready for our period. Ready to help me?
Fish have fins.
Are we done?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay, kindergartners, you just wrote 3 sentences. Let me see your muscles. That was strong writing. Okay, shake your hands up really high. Shake your hands down really low. Put your fingers like this. Put your hands in your lap. Do you think we can read all of our writing?
Why do you have
Okay.
red on your hand?
I just got a little marker on me. Alrighty, ready to read with me? Our big 3 sentences. Are you ready? Let's do it all together. We know about fish. Fish have gills. Fish have fins. Did we write everything that was on our mat? I want you to turn to somebody by you and give them a thumbs up and say, good job.
Good job, Isaiah.
Okay, turn back up here. Tomorrow, we are going to add our picture of a fish onto the bottom of our writing. What we're going to do with this is we are going to take turns drawing details in this fish. We are going to label the fins. We are going to draw in some gills and label that. And then the next day, on Thursday, you guys get to have a chance at writing this all by yourself. Touch your nose if you think you can do it. I believe in you and I bet you can. Take a look up at the board what your choices and your starting point are today. You may go to your first center. We know about. So what we're going to do is we're going to read our writing together this morning to make sure that we remember all of the good things that we wrote about. If I point, will you read?
Yeah.
Should you read in a whisper voice? No. Should you read in a screaming voice? No. Should you read in a normal talking voice? Yes. Do your very best. I can't wait to hear it. I point, you read. Are you ready? Ready, writer? Okay, let's do it together. We know about fish. Fish have gills. Fish have fins. Now, in my writing yesterday, show me on your body if you were a fish where fish gills would be. So I'm going to look here.
No.
Here.
No.
Here.
Yes.
Here. Okay, so I learned that when I looked at that video, gills were those little slits that the water could go in and they were
And don't
flapping
forget the
to let
points
the
on
air
the
in.
top
So-
and bottom.
So I'm going to add gills that look like this. How's that?
Good.
Do those look like gills? Are they in the right spot?
Yeah.
Now I also learned in my video yesterday that some fish are covered in scales. So if you wanted to go through and add some fish scales to your photo today,
Oh,
you can. Okay, so before you color, I want you to label your picture. So you might do something like this. Thank you, Nova, for your handwriting. You might add a word like ill, gills. And if you
And
even
then
want,
you
you
can
can
add
add
an
a little arrow. I love that idea, Connor. Gills.
Like
If I want to write this, I could write ale, scale, scales. And I could add an arrow. Yeah, a shark, because a shark is a type of a fish. Nova, I love that hand raising.
Okay.
What's your question?
You're gonna have glitter on ours to make the gills shine,
That
like
would
in
be
real water.
You got two. You got lucky. Good morning.
I got two. Good night.
One morning back rub is enough. Good morning. Hey, did you already write her? Okay, so today we are going to do guided reading, and I have 4 rotations of 4 kids each that will spend 15 minutes at my table, and then they will rotate to a word work center where my aide sits, and right now they will be working on syllables, and then they will rotate to an independent reading choice, and then they will be rotating to an iPad center. So this is the book. This is the continuum of literacy learning that our school bases our guided reading instruction off of. And so as a teacher, it's kind of overwhelming to look at like this giant section of level C stuff or whatever things that you are working on at each specific level. So what my coworker and I have done is we have taken the most important things out of here and we have put them on an easy reference sheet that is taped to our guided reading table. So all of our prompting cues and all of our word work ideas are right on our table, so you're not flipping through pages. You can easily ask if you're making a structure error, did that sound right? Can you reread that? Or what's another word that might make sense here? So we took everything out of here and just put it on our tables for easy access for us. So I've included copies of that for
I was
you
gonna say we
as
might
well.
add that to our packet.
So you have that, and then I wanted to share with you our planning sheet and how I kind of organize my guided reading binder. So this is my binder that I use every single day, and it is split into a bunch of sections. The first section is our book list for the week. So I have my 4 groups. Here's the book they read on Monday, here's Tuesday, here's Wednesday, here's Thursday. On Friday, we reread all of the books in our box, and I collect some of their books from the previous weeks. So they only have about 5 books in their book box at one time. So that's how I keep track of what books they all have read. The next page is my planner for who is getting a running record that day. So I just put the first letter of their name. This is my group 1. I have 4 kids, so Bryn gets her running record done on Monday, Connor on Tuesday, Juge on Wednesday, Paxton on Thursday. They don't have a 5th member, so each child gets 1 running record done each week on them. And then I keep those in a separate binder here. Each child has a tab with their name on it, and here is all of her running records from the entire school year. So if there's a student that's struggling on a specific skill, you can easily look back and kind of go through their running records. Then I have each group's planning sheets for that day. This is a reading assessment checklist. So right now this group is reading at a level D. Our school has something called the Reading Rainbow. And what each child in our school has available to them is to set a personalized reading goal. When they meet that goal, they get to put their little face on a rainbow and it moves up. You probably saw it in our hallway out there. So this is all of the skills they need to be successful at a level C or a D. So I pick one, depending on the student that I want that student to focus on. So right now, this student, Claudio, is working on rereading to self-correct errors or confirm meaning. So whenever I catch him doing that skill, I give him a little star in that box. And when he gets his 4 stars, he gets to move his picture up on the reading rainbow. So it's just reinforcing good reading behaviors and whatnot.
And this is one of the resources that goes along with
the continuum.
The continuum.
Yep, absolutely. So my coworker and I have designed this planning sheet, and what it looks like is we have taken everything out of the continuum so that you don't have to be flipping through the different levels, and we've put it all on one page. So you can list your group, the title of the book, your date and your level. We've put all of the things that need to go in a book intro that relate to meaning, structure, and visual, and that's where I kind of write which parts of those apply to our book that we're reading today. So for example, here is our one for today. So today the book intro that we would give goes here. My extra thing that I'm going to focus on is the expression mark today. We're really going to key into like, what's the difference in saying look and look when we are reading. So that's where I can make little notes to myself. Right here during the reading, I circle the specific skills that group is working on. So this group is working on cross-checking, self-monitoring, reading with fluent phrases, expression, rereading for meaning and language, and then reading through words. So then after, there's a category here where I can decide do I want to question them with within, beyond, or about questions. So today we're going to practice retelling the story with a beginning, middle, and an end. We're going to make a personal connection. Have you ever lost anything? Mm-hmm. So then I can go with my teaching points at the bottom, and today when I do my word work, we're going to be transforming the word look into looking, and it's just everything is on one page and for that day. So whenever I make these planning sheets, the running record for that child of the day is at the top, so I just cut it right off after he takes his running record, and his planning sheet for the day is right after that.
Start with an on level.
Yes, so our first group that we're going to see today is a group that is reading on grade level. The second group is reading just slightly below. The third group is my below grade level, and then my last group is my enrichment group, who is reading above grade level currently. So right now, it is January, end of January. Kindergartners are expected to be reading at a level C right now. So the first group is going to be instructed on an on-level C. The second group will be a very early C. They just transitioned from like the harder Bs into the level Cs. The third group will be reading a level B, and then my fourth group will be reading a level D book today. So. Two things that you've been focusing on, okay? All right. There you go. Finger under your first word. Very good. Ryder, I love that after you figured out this word, you went back and read the whole thing from the beginning. That's what good readers do. Good job, buddy.
Mother, she's here. I feel like I skipped a one.
I don't think you did because you're on 4. Here you go.
Baby, man is
What is that? Here. That's one of your sight words.
Baby, lamb is here.
Keep going, Nova. Keep reading.
Baby lamb is first.
Ryder. Okay, before you end, I want to tell you everything that you did that was amazing today. It was amazing that you pointed to every word. I did see you looking at your pictures, and I saw you sounding out the word spring on the first page. That was awesome.
Baby.
Do your papers too?
Yeah. Baby is.
Oh, you got it. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go back to this page. You read, baby lamb is thirsty. I'm looking at that picture, and that makes sense because he does look thirsty. But I want you to say the first sound in that word. What is that? What word do you think this might be? What?
Hungry.
Hungry. Thirsty would start with what sound? But this word starts with H, which says. So I'm going to write on here that Ryder is still working on making sure that he looks really carefully at the first sounds when he's reading, okay? Good job. You rocked today. Okay? All right, Ryder, great job today. Okay, guys, before we start reading today, we have 2 words that we are going to work on. The first word is a sight word that we've known for a long time. What is that?
Look.
Look. Now I'm going to tell you about a chunk that's going to go on to the end of this word today. ING is a chunk that goes together to say ing. What does ING say? Ing. So if I add ing to the end of look, what word does this become?
Looking.
Looking. Good job, Miles. I'm going to cover half of it and I want you to tell me what it is.
Look.
Look. What is it now?
Looking.
Looking. That word is going to be in your book today, okay? Looking. I'm going to tell you about one more chunk. OW goes together to make this sound. Ow. You know that already. What does OW say? Ow. What happens if I put this sound at the beginning? Duh. Ow. Down. I'm going to put 3 dots under those sounds, and we're going to practice reading that together. Will you read that with me? Duh. Ow. Down. What word is this? Down. This word down is also going to be in your book today. Our book today is about a little girl who is looking for her book. But the thing is it's lost. She can't find it. The title of our book is called My Book. Nova, are you ready to look up here? Okay, put your hands in your lap. Thank you. My book. She's looking for her book, but she cannot find it. She keeps finding her toys instead. What kind of toys does she have? What does that one look like? A tiger. What else? A monkey.
Elephant.
And an elephant. Now, we're going to read to find out if she ever finds her book and then what she does when she does find her book, okay? All right. My book. Make sure that you are pointing to every word and whisper reading. If you get stuck, make sure you ask for help. I will help you.
Mrs. Ramsey.
Very good.
Mrs. Ramsey, I'm stuck on your book.
Okay, let's think about what's going on in our story. Look, here is my... What did she find? Use your picture on that one.
Mrs. Elephant.
Elephant, you got it. Okay, friends, please close those books. Close your book to the front cover. Okay, let's put our books behind us in our book box and let's get back into our learning spots. Hands are under the table. Okay. All right, let's all turn our eyes towards Ryder. Ryder, you are our lucky reader today, which means you get to tell us what this entire book was about. What I want your focus to be today is using a beginning, a middle, and an end, okay? Okay, can you tell me what this book was about?
The little girl was looking for a book, and she found her stuffed animals.
Which kind of stuffed animals did she find in her book?
She found an elephant and a tiger and a monkey.
Very good.
And
Hold that thought in your brain for just a second, Nova.
sorry,
And then how did our story end?
happy
Why was it happy?
because she found her book.
And what did she do once she found that book?
She read it.
She read it, didn't she? Show me with your thumb if Ryder did a good job. I think he got all of those parts. Good job, Ryder. So now I want you to think about this. She did find her book. Ryder just told me that. This little girl in our story, she lost something. I want you to think about a time in your life that you lost something. Has anyone ever lost anything? Can you make a connection? Ryder, go ahead.
I lost my stuffed animal chihuahua and my brother found it.
Very
I
good
lost
connection.
I lost my fake lipstick.
You lost your fake lipstick. Did you find it? You did, just like that little girl. What about you? Have you ever lost anything?
Well, did my little bottle and it was yours and it was never.
And you never did find it, so your story ended opposite. She found her thing that was lost. You never did find yours, did you?
Well, there was my little brother.
It was your little brother's. What about Very good job today, you four. I'm so proud of you. Good job, guys. Where's your learning spot? And where's your learning spot? Let's get there quickly. Okay, we're going to review one of our sight words. We introduced this word last week. Who remembers what it is?
Said.
Said. Let's read the letters of the word said.
S-A-I-D.
Said. Now we remember, I'm glad that you remembered. This is the word that usually comes after when we see these talking marks around words. Remember when we see those little tiny lines, Isaiah, that tells me that somebody is talking. One more time, what word was this? Said. Okay, that's going to be on every page of your story today, so make sure that you remember that one. Isaiah, second one, you get into your learning spot. Where are your hands? Thank you. Our story today is called Sally and the Leaves. I chose this book because yesterday you read a book about leaves. This is going to be a different book about leaves. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to take those two books and we're going to decide what was the same and what was different about them, okay? Sally and the Leaves. We have two characters in our book today. Sally and her mom. We're going to take only a half picture walk today because I want to see if you can figure out the rest of the story all on your own, okay? They are big oak tree leaves, right? Okay, let's look at this picture. Charlie, tell me about what you see is going on over here.
The wind blew all of them away.
The wind blew all of the leaves away. How did you see that? Show me where you think the wind is. How did you guess wind?
There, and I had the cloud. I knew something was going to happen because the cloud. It looks like that. Said. Here is
You're the lucky reader. You retold a lot of important details from that story. Good job. Now, Charlie, you already remembered this from your story. What made the leaves go away?
The wind.
The wind. Very good. And you saw that in your illustration. All of you did a really nice job today. Harlow, do you remember who our two characters of our book was?
Sally and her mom.
Sally and her mom. Great, great job, you four. I am so proud of you. Good job. I want you to be looking for it, okay? Our book today is called My Birthday. Kai, can you show me your learning spot? Thank you, buddy. Let's find out what kind of things she has at her party. All right, so let's look at this. I love this because these illustrations, she's turning 6. Show us the big picture. She is. And it also shows us a little picture over here. What do you think that is?
6.
It is a
She's
6.
6 years old.
This is a card. Kai, look at this word. Card. Before you start reading today, I want to tell you something about this little girl. Kai, are you ready?
Something happened to her.
It did, but this little girl tells you on every page that it is her birthday. Those are the first words that we're going to start with. It is my birthday. Can you read that with me?
It
is my birthday. Oliver, tell us about what you
I
found
balloon.
at a birthday party before.
And this says, Happy Birthday.
Great job. I am so proud of both of you boys. Good
I can
reading
already
today.
read. Yeah.
Okay, let's put that behind us, and we're going to start working on some chunks. Then we'll save the important chunk for when Juge and Paxton get here, okay?
Yeah.
You want to scoot over, Bryn? Good choice. Okay, this is a chunk that we know. I-N-G goes together to make what sound? Ing.
Like going.
Okay, so let's practice that. What word?
Go.
What word now?
Going.
Going. Okay.
And coming.
So Connie, that word was yours. This one's for Bryn. I'm going to cover this. Okay, Bryn? Let's let Bryn do this one. Bryn, what word?
Play.
What word now?
Playing.
Playing. Great job.
Can I have coming?
Well, no, because you already know that word. Okay, what about this, Connie? You ready?
It did work. See? Seeing.
There, I'm going to show you 2 letters. You tell me what sound they make.
What without you?
Shh. What does this H say, Bryn? Shh. Good. What about this one? CH.
Like in Charlie.
Good. And last one. Yes. We're going to read to find out if he is safe or not. Okay? All right. Let's go read over our characters one more time. Who was this? Baby hippo. And this was mother hippo. Okay.
Just like baby panda.
You're right. Baby panda. We read that book.
Who was your lucky
It was Connor today. Thanks for checking in on that.
Oh, Mrs. The hippo's all asleep. She's too big.
She's too big.
The lions wake up. They are usually they'll like up and then straight and then down. But that one's they are hungry. Baby hippo is not baby. Baby hippo is not working. He is the hippo. The hippos are back in the river.
Everybody turn and look at Connor. Connor, I want you to pretend that none of us have read this story before. Can you retell this story with as many details as you can think of? Let's listen to see if he misses anything.
At first, Mother Hippo
You get to
saw the lions and she was too big to get them.
That's
And
right.
she did.
And then she did. And so the question I asked you, Connor, was to read to find out if Baby Hippo was safe or not. Was he safe? At the end of our story?
Yes.
Who saved him?
Mother Hippo.
Okay, now I'm going to ask everyone this question. Why do you think that those lions were afraid of Mother Hippo? Pax, what do you
Because
think?
she was so big.
She was really big. Did you notice anything else about her, Bryn?
She was bigger than the predator.
They were the predator. I like that you used that word. Juge, tell me what you think.
She showed her big teeth.
She did. Very good. Okay, Paxton and Juge, your job for writing tomorrow. Where do hippos like to sleep?
Okay.
Where do they? Tell me that.
River.
Hippos sleep in a river.
Or a
Thank you for
pond.
reading with us
You
today.
can see a
too.
pond.
Great job. Connor, first.
Okay, so we're back with Kaylin Ramsey, and we're at Parkside Elementary in Powell, Wyoming, and we're going to just talk with her about her post lessons that we got to see today, and sort of summarize how she felt they went, and maybe some things that you want to point out. So
Okay.
let's just, I mean, you can lump both of them together, both the interactive and the guided.
Sounds good. Well, I'll start with my interactive writing lesson. I thought it went really well. The kids were really excited about writing about what they had learned the day before, and that's what I love about these little mini units is studying something, writing about them, independent practice, and it takes a whole week just to go through that. One thing that I do in my classroom is up until Christmas time, we have structured seating. So I give them a place to sit on the carpet, and they have a distinct spot to sit at their tables as well. After Christmas, I tell them that they are big kids and that they can make their seat choices for themselves. So I always tell them, choose a seat where you can be a good learner. So if you know that you talk to Christy all day, don't sit by Christy. So we kind of teach those skills and how are you going to help yourself be successful. So that was one thing in my lesson. They did come over and they got to sit wherever you want. I did have one little friend in the very back that was not a successful seat choice for him. So in reflection, I probably would have pulled him to the front and given him a seat right next to me where he could be easily engaged and making sure that he's participating. Other than that, it seemed like they were a little scared of the mic. Usually they read really exciting when they're reading all together, and they were really quiet yesterday. But and then as for guided reading, I think that it went really well. I think the hardest part within guided reading is the transitioning. So whenever the bell rings and the people are moving from different centers. There's always kids coming up to show you their iPad or tell you about what they just did in writing. So really reinforcing that when you are at that guided reading table, this is important, and their reading instruction cannot be interrupted. And luckily we have Mrs. Price who sits over at that word work table. So I always say, if you have to go to the bathroom, if you need help with something, go see Mrs. Price. So I know not everyone has the ability to have somebody else in their room, but I have known a lot of teachers who have like a little light at their table, and when the light is on, that's do not disturb when they're reading with people, or a hat, when whoever has the hat on, you can't come up and disturb this. So if you don't have somebody in your room to direct the students towards, just finding a way that they can not interrupt, because that time goes so quickly. By the time you do a running record, their book introduction and their word work, and then their lesson, and then their questioning and stuff afterwards, it goes so quick. So there's just no time for interruptions within that. Okay.
So like with your reading groups, I mean, that you have a map of what it's going to look like every day, and
Right.
you're obviously working on progressing the kids through the levels.
Correct.
And but when you think about your guided, or when you think about your interactive writing, what next? Like with that lesson, you had them then label today, so we got to see a little bit of them labeling the fish. But then when you think about what will be the next thing that you'll do with interactive writing, and how often does that happen?
Interactive writing happens several times throughout the week. Anytime that you can have a chance to have kids put their work up on the wall, or just help you with what you're doing, all the time. Every single day we do journal writing, so I usually modeled my journal writing with that, but the power of them doing it themselves so that they can instantly go apply it themselves is what the end goal is. And so with this little small group that was studying fish, we did the nonfiction book, we reviewed within real life pictures, then we did the interactive writing. Today we did the labeling. Tomorrow where they will go is they're going to work on writing a topic sentence all by themselves. And then they get to choose 2 of their own details. There's going to be those kids who are so afraid to break out, and they're going to write gills and they're going to write fins because they've already practiced it and they know what it looks like. But there's going to be some kids in there that are like, I want to write about their scales, or I want to write about their top fin and their back fin. And so that kind of gives the higher kids that chance to do that. So what happens next with this little group of writing is our end goal for the end of the school year is for them to write a main topic, 3 details, and a closure. So right now my mat just had a green, yellow, yellow that they walked on. But at the end of the year, they're going to walk on a green, yellow, yellow, green, yellow, green. And so where we keep going is, okay, we can write 3 sentences. Maybe now we're going to try and write 4. Let's add 1 more detail, and then moving towards the closure. But obviously our interactive writing was just about our informational animals that we're studying. It can be anything. If you have something like you want to do your class rules, let's post our class rules. If they write it, it's their work. They take ownership on it, and you don't have to be always writing in complete sentences. That's where our informational is going next, but you can be writing rules, you can be labeling things, we made a chart last week that was just all of the colors. And it was like part of our art lesson. We mixed the paint, we wrote the color next to it, and then we hung that in our classroom so that they can, if they're ever writing a color word within their journal on their own, they can refer back to it. It's always so that it's up so that they can refer back to it. Does that make sense? Okay.
So they have the resources around the room.
All the time.
Nice. Okay, so in closing, we have had a great time being here.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
It's wonderful to be in your classroom and see
Good.
the amazing literacy instruction that's happening, and the excitement both with you and the kids. And so I always feel like if you learn something, then you teach.
Right.
And so with all of the things that you've learned, you're now teaching a variety of people about what to do in the classroom, not just your little guys.
Right.
So some takeaways, what would you feel like you would want other teachers to then learn from some of the things that you've gained?
Gosh, I just feel like the biggest thing is like kids learn from what they're excited about. And if you are excited about what you're teaching, I hate snakes. They are my least favorite topic. But when you're up there with your animated face and you're excited, the kids are excited about what you're learning. You would never know. And then always my biggest thing is the kids should never know if you're having a bad day. When you walk through that door, nothing from your personal life or anything about how you're feeling that day should ever be transferred into your kids' classroom. There's so many kids in this world that come to school because it is their safe place and it is the best part of their day. And so you need to make sure that everything you do is the best part of their day. And just that teaching is an ongoing process. You should be continually learning new things and you try things out. Some of them work, some of them don't, and you always are constantly learning, trying, and then reflecting. You can teach the same thing, the same topic several years in a row, but what went well last year? What didn't go well? How can I make this even better for the next year? Your teaching should always be about getting better. And I always go back to loving your kids. I know I mentioned that already, but something as simple as giving every kid a hug as they walk through the door, and we do morning back rubs, because a lot of kids, like, this is the one interaction that they might have that day. So just doing everything you do driven from love and driven through what you know from where you started in college and through reflection of what you've done over the years. Yeah.
So clearly, your classroom environment is going to help with the success of all of these little guys.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting to see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thanks for
I
letting us
do
be
love
here.
those tiny humans. I was glad you guys can come
I
share them
know.
with me.
We love it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you
Thanks.
guys.
Okay.